Okay, Soham railway station disaster on the 2nd of June 1944. Okay, Grandad, just tell me what really happened in your perspective of that early morning at 1 o'clock.
Well, what happened? The train left Ely station for various places over the country with a load of bombs to be disposed of by aircraft, different places. Right, they got to Soham, and the signalman, Frank Bridges, noticed that one truck was on fire. So, what happened? They backed the train into the goods yard, uncoupled it, and their intentions were to take it further through Fordham and that way, where there was less houses and more open spaces. Now the fireman was a young lad named James Knightle, and the driver was Ben Gibbon. Anyway, they achieved their job and uncoupled the truck, and they just started, and they just got in the Soham station near the signal box when boom, the truck went up with 44 500-pound bombs in. And you know what happened then? All hell broke loose. The houses are in the nearby vicinity of the railway station was all blew the roofs off, the doors, windows, everything you can imagine. We lived at 47, that was called Waterside at that time, and me and my brother, we was asleep in the back bedroom, my mother and father in the front bedroom. When this here went up, that was one hell of a bang, and the next thing we remember was the window. The back window was on the bed with us. So we got up and got dressed, half dressed or whatever, as quickly as we could. We wanted to know what happened. Anyway, we was going to come down the stairs, and the end wall of the house was all blew out. So we come down, and there was a passage in the side of the house, and we come down that on the brickwork. We helped the mother and father down, and when we looked across, we see the gasometers alight. And was that hot? Because there was one gasometer 3 stories high, and that was all alight, with the other one a single story as well. And the temperature, you can imagine, with the gas, we weren't so far away. And anyway, we got down and we see different neighbours and whatever. We see some of our friends, and we had to walk around and see what had happened. And we got, well, my old grandmother, she lived down what we call the lane. We got her up and out, and same she was safe. And other people there, they was sort of getting half up, but there was one couple at 73 Waterside, they were still asleep in bed. They hadn't heard it. They couldn't believe it when we were calling it out. They ain't got no windows, no doors, and nothing on.
So how close, just for the listeners here, how close were you to the station from your house, roughly?
Roughly about 200 to 300 yards.
That's pretty close. And,
Yeah.
Wow, and you were 17 years old at the time?
Yeah,
Wow, you just think back to that. You're in your bed, 1 o'clock in the morning, and everything just breaks loose. You know, you've got a munitions train. But I think what the main moral of the story here is that the driver, the fireman, and the signalman all had to work very hard to save the town.
yes, they did.
I read in the history book about this that one of the bogies, the wheel sets of the truck, was actually in the high street.
Pardon?
One of the trucks was in the high street. The wheels were in the high street.
Ah, yes. Yeah, there were wheels everywhere. My grandmother down the lane, she'd even got an engine wheel in her garden, embedded. And one had gone through, we don't know, that went through the gasometer and set that alight. And different things, you know. When we had a look round, we got, there was only sort of one bloke got killed, that was Frank, James Nightall. He was a very brave lad.
He was very brave, and
Yeah, he was 20-year-old, and he uncoupled that truck off the train, and him and Ben Gibbet, they got awarded some medal. Anyway, I'd go on display, I say in the library at the moment, but I do go on display, I think I was going into college with some of the other artefacts.
And also with this, it's safe to say that without it, Soham wouldn't be here. Without them, their brave
Yeah, they
men.
would. They wouldn't. Yeah, I shouldn't be here.
And of course, I wouldn't be here. You know, it would cut off the entire family line if they hadn't have done that, which is remarkable when you look back on it. Because I read about this in the book, I read all the old newspapers about this. So the wagon exploded. Was there anything, you know, so it just covered the entire town, I take it? The remains of like the station, the signal box, the locomotive was just all over Soham.
Yeah.
All over.
Yeah, there was an old demonstration all around, especially around Waterside, the Peace, and everywhere. Sort of what was in vicinity of the station. The station that went the other side of the railway line into a field, and you know, all over the common.
Because that's where they wanted to get that munitions truck. They wanted to get it out in the common, in like the middle of nowhere. That was their plan.
That was their plan, to get the train, the truck, through in the open country, which was a good idea at the time. But, you know, that just didn't go.
Didn't go.
They said at the time that there was Italian prisoners working on Ely Station, and they said at the time that they put sand in the oil box of the truck, and they got red hot by the time they got to Soham, and that's what caused the fire.
It just sparked, and then
Yeah,
and it was a race against time. They didn't know how long they were actually going to, you know, they didn't know how long before that truck exploded, but they wanted to make sure they could get it away from the rest of the wagons.
there were 44 500-pound bombs in that one truck.
Wow. And
there was, on the train, if they'd all went up, there were 44 trucks on the train at that time, and they all carried 44 500-pound bombs in it. So you can imagine what Soham would have been here now.
it would have been a very different end of the story.
Yeah,
Especially in a lot of things, as I've said, you wouldn't be here, and then of course I wouldn't be here at all. So that's quite something. It's 70 years of the anniversary when this gets uploaded and published. What are the celebrations going to be this year?
I don't know. They said there's something on the 3rd of June coming, you know.
Yeah.
So we'll have to just wait. I'm hoping I shall be there. I'm 70, 80, 87 at the moment.
87 years young, by the way.
I was 17 at the time.
And now, that even though, I assume it'll be held at the station, but again, that station isn't there now. It was rebuilt after the war, and then they closed it in the 1960s with the beaching cuts.
Yeah, they said they've been saying all these years they're going to rebuild Soham station.
And of course, it's never come to fruition.
It's never come to light yet.
Even though if you do go to the site, you can see the entire, the land where the goods yard was, which is now just...
Oh yes, the goods yard is still there, and the station courtyard is still there.
Yeah, because there's like a ring of stones, aren't there, where the circle was in the centre.
You see, when that went up, that made a hell of a crater just outside the signal box, and I don't know whether, I believe after the next day they had the Americans off American airfield at Lakenheath. They had them with bulldozers and filled the hole in, and then the trains were running again, though there weren't no station.
Yeah, and just so there was the locomotive was a British-built WD Austerity 280. The locomotive was scrapped, obviously, because it was, I don't actually know the full story of the locomotive, but it was basically destroyed. The boiler was, not structurally, but the oval shape of it was still there. But yeah, there was a massive crater from the explosion, and of course the station was completely wiped out. Was it the signalman? He did survive.
Oh, the signalman, yeah,
Because he was behind, if I remember this, he was behind...
He went back to the signal box, and they said in the local paper he didn't get decorated because he left his post. But I don't know what happened to him really, all the confusion at the time, but I don't think he died at the time anyway.
No, because I think I remember he survived because he was behind one of the signal box walls, which kind of shielded him from the explosion. But either way, it is a remarkable story. It's not, again, it's one of the many stories of the war which is just known about in its pockets, and when it gets brought out into the public eye, it starts to get more of a story. And hopefully this tribute will, be worthwhile for the 70th anniversary of it.
Yeah.
Hopefully you'll make it up to the celebrations for it, because it was one of a kind, and you'll probably be one of the oldest people there from the night that it happened.
Well, I shall be, if I get up there, I shall be one of the older people who attended who was about when the station blew up.
We wish you good luck for that.
And I got a friend who's in a home at the time, Neil. He was there. He used to be, he used to live next door to me. Fred Sizer.
Well, I'd like to thank you, Grandad, for your time with that. It was very interesting, and hopefully lots of people listen to this, and for the in the post I'm writing for the Loco Yard blog. So thank you for your time, by the way.